Hey everyone, we are going to go ahead and jump right into the making of this beautiful gel scrub that you guys have seen in my previews. I'm going to be highlighting the ingredients as we make it. So this is the vegetable glycerin. As you can see, there are some of the values on the side. It's good to know what they are for compatibility reasons when it comes to making any given skincare product. So the vegetable glycerin you can replace for honey or another type of humectant that is the same. I use it to dissolve the hyaluronic acid. I'm using hyaluronic acid powder. This is going to create our gel base that's really hydrating for the skin. And what happens is if you just add hyaluronic acid to water or vice versa, it just tends to get really clumpy instantly. If you leave it for a while, it can dissolve. But whenever you add vegetable glycerin, it makes it so that it has less clumps and it's just more easy to solubilize in any water. And so as you see, I'm just moving it around in here. You could add more glycerin, or you could use like honey along with glycerin and kind of half and half it and just get creative on your own whenever it comes to what you're mixing in. And then so you just want to make sure that you go through and you completely try to get all of the lumps out here, because it will help reduce them once you begin to add your water. And so this is going to be meant for the face, as you could see earlier when it came to the values of the hyaluronic acid and the vegetable glycerin. The ingredients in this formulation are they're either low or non-comedogenic at all, and they're slightly acidic, which is what the face likes. And so you don't even really have to pH balance this unless you're going to add like a surfactant like cocoa betaine or something to help this foam up. Then you may just want to check the pH on that. But this is how the slurry should be looking, kind of like goopy, almost slimy, but it's not. It's actually pretty sticky because of the vegetable glycerin, and you can see that there's really not too many lumps to it. So here I'm adding my distilled water. I was originally going to go with aloe water in my formula, but I just didn't have any on hand. So you can switch this out and fraction some of the distilled water for aloe vera water, or you can just use 100% aloe, and it really doesn't make too much of a difference, or any sort of like what would you call it, like a hydrosol, and make this themed into anything that you want. You could do watermelon hydrosol as well. So the water is pink because I just added a little bit of water soluble color into it. You don't have to add any color. I just love it for the color. And I also already solubilized the Germall Plus, our preservative, in here. You're going to want to have a preservative in this formulation because of the fact that it will get moldy. So this is, being that this is an aqueous type of formulation, you're going to want a water soluble broad spectrum preservative, and then you want to add it into the water phase and completely solubilize it. So this is a watermelon scrub. You can do it with any base if you want. I would say that there are a few different types of ingredients that you could switch out here. You could use honey to make it more kind of like natural. And if you wanted to, not the vegetable glycerin isn't, by the way, but just kind of, honey has its own set of benefits. And you can add watermelon powder as well, or any sort of teas or powders to this part of the formulation. You can use instead of the water. You don't have to use the water, or you can fraction it out and use some of the other things. This is why I really like these types of formulas, because you can add different ingredients that give them different values altogether. And so as you can see here, it does take a little bit to solubilize. I could have sped this part of the video up, and I still actually will fraction it out, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to, give it a good stirring to help it kind of come along a little bit more. But in between, I'm going to give it breaks and just kind of let it dissolve on its own, because if you just kind of leave it on its own, it will start to break up some of those chunks, and these will actually fully solubilize, and it would be far worse if we didn't add the glycerin. Probably the more you add, or the less hyaluronic acid powder you add, you can get less clumps. And the thing is for this formula, you'll see the end result at the end, of course. But the reason why I have the amounts that I do is because I wanted it to be a little bit thicker to help suspend some of the other ingredients that I'm going to add in there, because the thicker it is, the more it'll hold them. The thinner and runnier it is, obviously there will be some sinking and separation. Just so you guys do know, in this formula, I do have pumice as one of my exfoliators, as my main exfoliator, because sugar will dissolve, as would salt. Anything that is water soluble will solubilize in a mostly aqueous formula. And so there is some separation that does occur. The pumice does sink to the bottom. So what you're going to want to do is either you can use like another type of exfoliant, like bamboo will probably be a little bit lighter if you wanted to do that. And that should help solubilize it just fine. But I still like to use the pumice because I like the way that pumice kind of buffs with skin. It's pretty cheap and easy to get a hold of. So that's the exfoliator I decided to go with, and it's not water soluble. And so that's the key here. You just want to ensure that the exfoliator that you're going to use isn't going to be solubilizing and dissolving, because otherwise you're not going to have a scrub. You'll have like a cool gel mask, but you're just not going to have like that type of scrub. And so it's just going to continue to thicken up as we go along here. And then, as I was saying, there are different ways that you can add watermelon into this formulation. In this particular formulation, I went ahead, and you'll see at the end, I used a watermelon oil. And yes, I added oil straight up to this formula that is aqueous without any sort of solubilizers. So you guys can add another type of extract that you want to use from plants. Like I said, there's watermelon powder. You can make a hydrosol and add it to the water phase and kind of do what you like. But I do like the way that the oil goes into the formula. I don't really have too many problems with separation as far as that goes. I haven't seen any serious separation, but of course before I use this product, I give it a good stir anyway, so it's not likely that you'll see any of the I don't ever see like any serious separation or have any issues with it. And I do genuinely love the way that this product feels on my face particularly. And so when it comes to using fruit and vegetables in your products, there are so many different ways that you can do it and easily do it, whether you're making your own or whether you're buying the ingredients. I have seen watermelon hydrosol being sold before. It was kind of hard to get a hold of, I'm not going to lie. But what's cool about hydrosols is that they tend to have usually they have some sort of like natural light scent that smells a lot like it. So it kind of smells juicy and has like that watermelon fragrance, even though if you think about it, right, watermelons aren't super fragrant in themselves, but whenever you get the hydrosol, you'll have to know what I'm talking about. You can smell the essence of the watermelon, and it's super duper refreshing. And I've made watermelon hydrosol on one of my other videos too, and I absolutely love it. Just for this one, I just really wanted to do something quick and on hand, since I was already behind with making my videos, and just kind of get this going for you guys. And I actually was going to do like another one of my slushy scrubs that I do so often that you guys love, but I really wanted to try to do one of my gel scrubs again because I do love them. And guys, when I say that my face loves this formula, my face really loves this formula. Like, it's noticeably more glowy. Honestly, just between you and me, for you guys that are watching, the watermelon seed oil that I use here is just amazing. Even after I scrub this on my face, I will use the oil just on its own, and it makes my skin so soft and so glowy. It's kind of funny because you guys will see it's like gray. I didn't expect it to be like that, but it just, you'll have to try it on your own. It feels amazing on the skin. And then the hyaluronic acid just helps to give you that extra quench and thirst boost. And then, like I said, you guys can add a foaming agent to this. I would just recommend that you use a water soluble foaming agent. Cocoa betaine is probably one that I would recommend the most, just because it's the easiest to work with and incorporate, and you would just add it straight into the water phase and completely solubilize. Then you'll have a little bit more froth and foam. I advise that because, as you can see, I like this kind of jelly translucent look. And as you guys can see, as we're progressing here through all the stirring, that a lot of the chunks and clumps are pretty much gone now, and they just continue to solubilize. So I'm going to add in my pumice powder and poppy seeds. I only mention the pumice powder because the poppy seeds are honestly just for decoration. They don't really serve any specific purpose. And I'm going to just go ahead and start mixing everything in really nicely here. And then we get this nice gel, still jelly type of formula. It's not as translucent because of the pumice, but I think it still just looks and feels fabulous. I absolutely love the texture. And you guys are going to see in a second here, I do recommend using water-soluble colors. The thing with the water-soluble colors that I particularly use, and from what I've heard a lot of these water dyes, is that you want to keep this and them away from like direct sunlight or in the light. They're best stored in the dark, because otherwise the color can kind of fade out. And as you can see here, it looks a little bit grayish when I was going for something a little bit more pink or pink reddish type. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more color. I did factor everything in, so you guys will, be able to get the accurate measurements on how much I use. I'm not sure I would recommend mica, because I've noticed that when you use mica in water soluble products, it doesn't disperse well. So a little bit of dye goes a long way. And then here comes the watermelon seed oil. And it's kind of grayish, like I was telling you guys about. But it is just fantastic for the kids, for the skin. I cannot stress enough how much I particularly have grown to love this ingredient through some of this month's formulations, and just being able to see how it makes the skin feel is just so lovely. And you guys will just have to see for yourself. Of course, you can omit it. If you want to solubilize it, you can use like a polysorbate, or you can omit it altogether and just get another watermelon extract. The scrub still feels fantastic. I just personally love the extra watermelon oil boost. So here you have some of the benefits. It is very lightweight. It doesn't clog the pores. It leaves the skin feeling very supple, and it doesn't leave any sort of greasy after feel. They make the skin brighter, and it just makes my skin feel so much better. This has definitely been incorporated in my personal routine. Like I said, you just want to give it a good stir beforehand, and then it's good to go.